Okay, MrMostDaysOff, now we're ready for the TeePublic ad.
Head over to tpublic.com/bestdarndiddly right now to support our show. Get yourself some Best Darn Diddly merchandise and help grow our podcast. I messed up there. Can I get another take?
Okay, just a second.
Out of the way, amateur. Hey, it's Krusty. Go to tpublic.com/bestdarndiddly. Hey, it's Krusty. Go to patreon.com/bestdarndiddly. Go to popthreads.com and save 15% with the discount code Simpsons. Hey, it's Krusty. Go to bestdarndiddly.com to get all your podcast needs from the greatest show on earth. Learn from a professional, kid.
All right, Krusty, we're ready for your take. Krusty?
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as MrMostDaysOff, and today we are going all the way around. No, that's not true, just round Springfield. And we have another great guest, just catching the tail end of the season to keep the streak alive. And we're going to get to him in just a moment. But first, of course, joining me as always, your co-host with the most, Richie the WizKid. How you doing today, Rich?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad you specified that we're just doing round Springfield. There'll be no A in this podcast, okay?
No A's. That's our promise to you right here at the top of the show.
Even though we're a bunch of A's and holes. But anyways, like you said, we have a guest, and you know I will not waste any more time. I will throw it back to you, the man, the myth, the cheese-eating surrender monkey. It is Miles.
Oh, I cannot wait to talk more about that. But first, the man returning for the sixth time on this show, Andrew Briseño. Dr. Andrew Briseño.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
What's up, Andy? Welcome back to the show. So, I already fucked up the A thing. I did it during the official part of your name, and then I fucked it up on your nickname.
Jesus. Congratulations.
That wasn't long at all.
Way to go.
How you doing today, Andy? Good, man. Good. We're really excited to have you back. It's always a pleasure having you come and talk about The Simpsons with us, man. How have you been since we last spoke? It feels like it's been forever.
It has seemed like an oddly long time since I've gotten to do this lovely thing. You know, it's a little bit bluebird of unhappiness, a little bit of manic depression mouse on this end. But, of course, I'm super stoked because I am about to have my first reading from my novel, Down and Out, which was published this summer by Goldwake Press, and which you, dear reader, can go and find on Amazon.com.
Just in case you're wondering, a book is like a podcast that you do yourself.
Huh. Yeah, sure, let's go. Right. It's like a printed out Audible. That's what it is.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's good. Now, I should have introduced you as published author at the top of the show, man. Congratulations on the new book.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Well, and I couldn't have done it without you as our executive producer. I really appreciate you. And, of course, for anyone who doesn't know, Miles blurbed the back of my book and wrote, and I quote, "Down and out is the problem with American literature today. This book ruined my life." So I really got to thank you for that strong vote of support.
I love that was the one that they put at the very top in like bold print. So like, yes, you're welcome for the kind words. It's truly what I meant to say.
From the bottom of your heart, you mean it.
Andy, so tell the readers a little bit more about your book. Sell it, man. Pitch it. You just take some time. You know what? I'm gonna go make myself a drink. You just use this time to sell your book to our listeners.
Well, there's going to be an awkward pause you're going to have to delete out while I get the thing in front of me. Because somehow I did not think that you were going to say that. But believe it or not, I have a spiel. So we're going to cut all this out, hopefully. Or maybe you think it would be funny to have me spiel about spieling. Doubt it.
Maybe if there wasn't so much goddamn traffic in the background.
I cannot help it. That is literally not a thing I can
That's
do.
usually my gig on this show.
If you want to contract, air traffic control, that's on you guys. Some people have said that my book is like Hank Williams Sr. meets Storage Wars meets The Breakfast Club meets The Last Scraps of the American Dream, but sexy. The idea is...
Wait. You said people as if, like, more than one person has said exactly that.
Yeah, and as if that wasn't something that I wrote, totally. So literally I say that, but, it works. It's set in Paris, Arkansas, that kind of small town that everybody knows. One high school, one grocery store, one bar, one factory. And the deal is, when everyone has the same job, everybody knows what the factory means to the town, but nobody knows what the town means once you take away the factory. But our book starts on the day everybody starts to figure that out. And it's cue the theme music, because what the people of Paris didn't know was that they are now about to be part of the boldest endeavor in reality television history ever, a show called Down and Out. Clever title. In which they put the entire town under contract and started filming literally everybody in town, and that's when stuff gets crazy. So the book is all about whether Paris would survive reality television, whether reality television can in fact survive Paris, Arkansas. And that's kind of the deal. In this world where hope and tragedy trade even money, all of us have to look deep inside and try to find out who we really are. That sounds even more bullshit when I say it out loud, but I'm standing by it. That's what I mean. Go for that.
Andy, I heard that your favorite president ever, Donald Trump, read the children's version that you printed with just illustrations, and he absolutely loved it. So really glad that you're able to connect with someone that means so much to you personally.
I'm going to leave for a few minutes.
I just really, for the love of fucking God, wish there was a illustrated version of my fucking book. That would be so great.
We need to make that happen. I'm sure we have some artists listening that can help you out with that project. And yes, do it in all crayon.
If interested in the idea of drawing, mules and sad people, I have an opportunity for you. Let's talk.
That's got to be somebody's dream out there that they just happen to be. Yeah.
Someone amongst the millions of people listening to this highly rated podcast must know a mule artist.
Well, and that's assuming that we haven't turned them all away at this point, because I'm pretty sure they have high demands that at some point we actually talk about the Simpsons on this show.
Oh.
They're very needy.
Sorry, man. I've been toying around with nerve gas, so...
Hey, nerve gas is not a toy. Dr. Andrew, you should know this.
So, as a doctor, I'm going to have to say that I dispute that term. Anything can be a toy if your mind is in the right state.
With enough lubricant and force, you're absolutely right.
Now I regret
it. Woo! And we're canceled. All right, so yes, this let's just go ahead and start all the way from the beginning, and we are talking about Round Springfield, which originally aired on April 30th, 1995. As Dr. Andrew Briseño just alluded to, the chalkboard gag is nerve gas is not a toy, and the couch gag is a repeat. It's the Simpsons in reverse size order, making Maggie a giant and Homer a tiny little man.
Can I ask Dr. Andy what made him want to come on for this episode?
So, when you guys tell me to look it over and pick an episode for the season, I always look at the list, and whichever one, I remember the most one-liners from, absolutely is the one that gets me. And I must say that we are here today because Ralph Wiggum had a flute up his nose.
That's good fluting, boy.
That's the best reason
I've heard. It's some nice fluting. Can we talk? We'll talk. We'll save that. I have comments. I have things to say.
So right off the bat, the title of this episode, since we do want to go in order, but we're definitely going to talk flutes, Andy, don't you worry. But the title of this episode is actually from the movie Round Midnight, which released in 1986. It's got a plot about a troubled musician who leaves the USA and goes to France, I believe in Paris specifically, to become a jazz musician. Have never seen it, but that's what the title parodies. It opens up officially with the Krusty the Clown Show.
Hey kids, it's story time. I'm going to tell you the story of Krusty's expensive new suit. His sexual harassment suit. Boy. Anyway, as part of Krusty's plea bargain, he has a new court-ordered sidekick. Miss No means no.
I love this. A woman who looks very stern in a business suit and just a sign that simply says no walks out and just stands glaring at Krusty.
Does she look related to Lunch Lady Doris to y'all?
It could have been a descendant or like a cousin.
A younger sister or a niece or something, maybe. I don't know.
Mm.
Whoa! You're hot! Let's get some dinner after the show.
She just raises the sign that says no. This is really, really fun. I like all of this. Bart is, of course, watching, as Bart often does when it comes to Krusty the Clown. And I love, there's one more thing with Krusty where he's blaming something. He's talking about it was Percodan. That stuff will rot your brain. And now a word from our sponsor.
Percodan.
Oh, crap.
I like how Bart says, I'm surprised he hasn't tried to blame his problems on his Percodan addiction.
That's what it was, yeah.
Like, literally at that second says it.
It wasn't my fault. It was the Percodan.
Ah, crap.
It's so amazing. And also in The Simpsons did it first. We have not only the Me Too movement, but also America's opioid epidemic. So, way to go, Simpsons. Predicted the future.
Nice.
Yay!
Simpsons did it nice. Simpsons did it so nice they did it twice. Got it.
Mm.
So Marge interrupts Bart's television watching to remind him that he has ask him rather if he's ready for his history test.
Oh, you bet, Mom. Ask me anything.
Okay. Who is George Washington Carver?
The guy who chopped up George Washington?
I love Homer here. Really? Wow.
The more you know.
And this is where we get to, I guess, the catalyst for this whole episode, and it's the breakfast table. Bart is getting a spoonful of Krusty O's, but he happens to get one that for some reason contains the free jagged metal Krusty O that's at the bottom of the bag.
Can we talk for a second about how that is only slightly below the average cereal present you were getting in 1995?
That's actually pretty, not too far off, because there used to be, actual legit toys just mixed into the bottom of the cereal, which, if you were smart, you just opened your cereal from the bottom of the box, or if you're an idiot, you did, on the commercials, and you'd, just dump your cereal everywhere.
Seriously, kids in commercials did not seem to recognize that bags had two sides. I don't know what that was about.
No, it's like a box is a three-dimensional construct. Crazy.
Well, how much more metal was in the cereal box in this instance, though? Like, any little metal flakes flying off anywhere? I mean, I'm interested in that. And why wasn't it in an individual bag?
Again,
I mean, you know.
Yeah, Krusty
saying,
stamp of approval.
I got several toys out of boxes that were way less awesome than one jagged metal Krusty O.
Sometimes it'd be something really lame, just a sticker, or a temporary tattoo or whatnot.
Yeah, some piece of cardboard, and you can fold it up and it looks like a dinosaur. Motherfucker, that does not look like a dinosaur.
That looks like a piece of cardboard with Cracker Jack remnants on it.
Exactly, goddammit.
I did one time get a toy submarine at the bottom of a cereal box, and it was a really cool toy that I used all the time.
So great. The Rusty Krusty Metal O is second place.
Exactly.
Submarine 1, Metal Krusty O
Metal
second.
Krusty O.
Any fucking piece of crap you got out of a box of Cracker Jacks, infinite last.
Well, immediately Bart hurls over in pain, and also immediately Marge just assumes that he's trying to get out of that test, but Lisa actually believes him, which is kind of nice. She recognizes that Bart seems to legitimately be hurting. But Homer has to call out his daughter on this.
Kids are so naive, Lisa. When you get to be our age, you'll learn a few things. Like when a sign says, "Do not feed the bears." Man, you better not feed the bears. Now get to school, boy.
So no one believes Bart, and that doesn't end it even going into the schoolroom, of course. Mrs. Krabappel also thinks that he's just full of shit. Very much a boy who cried wolf type of scenario here where, when things really are going on, he's not getting believed. Something the Simpsons have literally done in the past and are revisiting here again. But it totally works for Bart's character. It's exactly the type of thing that he would try to pull on test day on any other regular day.
The most lethal part of this, though, I think, is Mrs. K, because, it doesn't sit well because you feel like Bart's actually going to have a possibility of dying.
Well, I mean, they even have
she has it, out for, right? It's in her contract that no one will be responsible if Bart Simpson dies.
Read page 6 of the school charter, yeah. They're also absolved if Milhouse gets eaten by the school snake. We see him in the next shot, and he's inside the snake yelling, "Hey, cool, there's a rabbit in here." So Bart miserably just struggles through his test, but he does make it, and then when his test is over, he finally is like, "Can I please go to the nurse now?"
Gosh, Bart, maybe you really are in pain. Well, it would be cruel not to let you go.
She starts filing her nails and humming.
There's seriously 8 seconds.
Yeah, it goes on for a while, and then finally she just kind of laughs cruelly and says, "Now you may go." We see Bart walk into the nurse's room, but is surprised to encounter lunch lady Doris. What are you doing here?
Budget cuts. They even got groundskeeper Willie teaching French. Bonjour!
She's eating some random monkeys!
That's fun to say at all times.
It really is.
Yeah.
So this phrase was just a joke that they didn't really think that much of when they were writing this episode, but it actually has gone on to gain a lot of popularity, and as it was written in the IMDb internet or the trivia section, it's entered the lexicon. But it actually did really become popularized in around 2003. If you recall, there's a little thing called the Iraq War starting up. And there was this big, craze at the time where France wasn't helping and people were getting pissed. And, we did the thing where people were, changing French fries to, freedom fries and all that good stuff. Everybody remember what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, that was the thing. Well, this became popularized at that time where it kind of got used to make fun of the French in 2003. A very American phenomenon, I'm certain. So anybody else who's listened to this probably did not get all of the, hysteria that restaurants and shit were going through. Anyone who served French fries over here were like, oh, we can't do that. We gotta have freedom fries. It's I just want my potatoes fried. I don't really care what you call them.
It's the American way. We're going to steal something from somebody else and slap our own slogan on it.
Seems fine. Yeah, in France, those are just called fries. For the record. Literally.
All right. Well, for now, Bart's stomach is really hurting, and he's trying to actually get help, but nobody believes him. And even if nurse lunch lady Doris does believe him, all she's able to do is give him chewable Prozac. The manic depressive mouse or bluebird of unhappiness.
Which, you would need if you were being traumatized as much as Bart was in this episode.
Yeah, actually, he probably would. He could probably use some Prozac.
It couldn't hurt anything.
I'm sure it could hurt many things, but it could help some too.
Well, this situation couldn't get any worse.
Of course, Richie's wrong once again, as usual, because Superintendent Chalmers, or Super Nintendo Chalmers, I should say, comes walking in the door with Skinner. And Skinner introduces their new nurse, Lunch Lady Doris.
Yeah, nice to see you. Seymour, why is that student lying unconscious on the floor?
Well, in many cases, the floor is the best. Oh, look, here comes Lumpy, the school snake.
How many kids are in that snake?
We can see that it's grown to, I believe, 3, and I have it listed. It's supposedly Milhouse, Ralph, and Lewis who are crying for help on the inside.
And presumably the rabbit's still in there, unless, of course, Ralph ate it. Just saying, that is quite a roomy snake.
Well, it is a really large snake, to be fair.
True.
Yeah.
Where did they get, What do they normally feed a snake that size?
Children, yeah.
Oh, okay. Fine. I guess I answered
The
my own
detention
question.
kids?
Yeah.
Hooter. Poor Hooter.
So things have gotten really serious, though, because if you didn't catch from that line of exposition with everything else happening, Bart was lying unconscious on the middle of the nurse's office floor. So it's gotten real. He's actually not faking it, and they actually have to rush him to the Springfield General Hospital, where we hear a musical beat that's supposed to be a parody of the ER theme, but on the director's commentary, they made a note that almost no one ever actually recognizes that.
Yeah, I thought that must have been the theme from General Hospital. I was just guessing.
Yeah, it's basically the same joke, really, either way.
Well, and then we get to one of my favorite things, which is, of course, the hot dog guy. Right? Like, first off, I love the idea that you get to watch people have surgery. Like, I really want to live in that universe. It's like, oh,
yes, like they have like stadium seating and hot dog guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, like, why isn't surgery... I would watch that. That's all I'm saying, right? I would go,
Yeah,
I would
I
do that
totally
on, like,
get down on
Thursday
that.
evenings when I didn't have much else to do. Maybe I'm a terrible
Well,
person.
yeah, that's when they have the drink specials, obviously.
Yeah, it's true, right? Thirsty Thursdays.
Half-price pint night, yeah. But yeah, so you find Bart's basically going to have to go into surgery, and, well, first you have Marge and Homer there who are, like, barely paying attention because Homer just really wants a hot dog. The hot dog vendor actually shows up, much to Marge's surprise, and he actually is able to purchase a few dogs.
Woohoo!
Dr. Nick, meanwhile, is prepping Bart for surgery just a few feet away, which makes you have to ask a whole lot of questions like, what grade does your hot dog cart need to get on your health inspection to be ready to be in a surgical room? Like, that's impressive.
I hadn't thought about that, right? Like,
I mean, that's got to be like A- and up only, right? Like, there's no wiggle room for B students there.
and again, I mean, they're letting Dr. Nick do anesthesiology,
Yeah.
so this
Yeah.
hospital may have, like, questionable standards. Like, see what happens immediately after the first surgery.
Okay, Bart, I will count to 3 and you'll be sound asleep. 1, 2, 3. Out like a light.
Scalpel. Ah!
Whoopsie! Maybe if I fiddle with these knobs. Hey, I smell gas. Pleasant gas. Night, night gas. And Dr. Nick collapses to the floor.
No, I thought he collapsed on top of Bart.
Oh, did he? That's even better. I thought it was kind of interesting that Dr. Nick and Dr. Hibbert were working together on this surgery. Don't they usually rival each other? And, like, isn't Dr. Nick usually offering discount surgery rates compared to what Dr. Hibbert is offering?
So, well, maybe this is a result of the poor negotiation that Homer indulged in for insurance coverage. I mean, like, I could totally see Burns sneaking in a clause about how you can have your dental insurance, but anesthesiology, no budget.
I had to get the
Okay.
cheapest one in town.
So they actually called Dr. Nick in, outside.
He's the only one
I got
who
it.
would work for like $7 in a Percodan.
Yeah, and he'd probably let you keep the $7 if it really came to it.
My question is, why didn't Dr. Hibbert pass out as well? Because wasn't the gas filling the room?
Maybe he's like got an addiction, so he's just got a really high tolerance. That's why he's laughing all the time.
Yeah.
We do get a comment on that later. He does laugh at very
That's true.
inappropriate times.
He laughs at inappropriate times. That is the facts. We get the fade out with Dr. Nick, and then when we fade back in, we're actually going through Bart's POV, and his family starts to come into focus. A little blurry at first, but we learned from Dr. Hibbert that it was that jagged metal cereal that was causing these problems all along.
But Homer
But wasn't
doesn't
it
care, and he's still going to
appendicitis?
strangle him.
Yeah, that's actually, I love this line right here because as he's coming through, Bart's ungrateful. He's like, no thanks to you, Homer. And then he starts getting strangled. And I love, Hibbert isn't like offended that he's being choked. It's just because it's so close to his very serious surgery. The boy's just had a very serious surgery. It's fine any other time.
Yeah, I mean, like, choke the kid, but you got to give him a few weeks off. It's like solid foods. It makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So what doesn't actually make sense, however, is that the swallowing of a jagged metal O and having your appendix removed would not actually work in this manner. And the creators of the show knew this because one Mike Reese's father is a doctor, and he actually was consulted for this episode. But even after they were corrected by a medical physician, they decided it was funnier this way, so they were just going to keep it anyway.
It makes sense because, like, people know people who have had their appendix out. It's a surgery you can have and, like, not worry about in the future, as opposed to, like, if you actually swallowed something like this and, like, you know, they had to cut out part of your stomach and you had to eat liquids for the rest of your life.
I think it would be a lot harder for them to, like, have, like, a simple, quick surgery moment, too. Like, this is, like, dialogue easily, like, oh, yeah, appendix removed, done. Instead of, like, well, we're going to have to cut out a portion of your stomach and then stitch back together the lining of your stomach wall. You're going to have all this recovery time, blah-bitty-blue-blob, all that good stuff. This just makes it kind of quick and easy.
Yeah, exactly. It has electrolytes. Move on.
Yeah,
It'll essentially be like
exactly.
Scratchy, where he eats something and it falls out of his stomach and he gets to eat it again. I mean, Bart would enjoy that.
IMDb does note that this is actually the first time a Simpson is seen getting an organ permanently removed on screen. So, little fun trivia fact for you.
That's such
Sometimes
a
you gotta
thing.
dig
Who's
real
keeping
deep.
Track? How many
Yeah,
times that happened? That they're like second, third, fourth organ removal?
Obviously, that was Marge in season 9, episode 4. Blah.
Black Market March.
I joke, but there's somebody out there probably listening to the show that does know that, and that's cool in my mind. I mean, good for you. You gotta know some shit.
Wait a minute. Has another Simpson had an organ removed?
I'm certain it's happened. I mean, there's 30 fucking seasons, dude.
What does
There's a
Homer
lot
get
of
removed
organs.
to save his father's life?
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Where he runs away and joins the ship crew for a few minutes? He gets a kidney taken out or something.
Okay.
Moving
Yeah,
on. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more, though, because Bart's really excited about the fact that he gets to miss a week of school. And also, he's showing off his cool new scar to all of his classmates who've come to see him. And they all decide that they want to get their appendixes out, too. I love Hibbert's response here.
Why not? Follow me, kids. Nurse, prep these children.
Yay!
And apparently this whole sequence is actually a reference to the children's book Madeline, in which Madeline gets her appendix out, and this is one of the things that she does, is she shows it off to her classmates, and they're all jealous.
Okay.
I never read that book, so
Yeah.
I was hoping somebody that, I don't know, had spent a fortune to get a literal, like, degree in reading might have had some insight on this.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Anybody know anybody like
when
that?
I was busy learning how to write contemporary fiction and becoming an expert in Chicanics literature and post-colonial theory, I absolutely had the time to take that graduate course in French children's picture books.
Okay, so share with us what
Fuck,
you
no,
learned.
I didn't. Come on. No, I am familiar with Madeline, but not that one. So
Yeah, no.
it sounds like some shit she'd do.
Yeah,
She's a
it's a reference. Now you know that. Good for you. Moving on.
There, I'll doctor it a little for you.
So has Krusty ever sold one safe product at this point on the show?
He sold a lot of things that were stamped with the Krusty seal of approval,
Yeah, but even
That
the
count?
seal is kind of shady to be fair.
and it has lead paint remnants in it. I'm pretty certain.
I mean, we'd never lent our names to an inferior product.
Never, unless you want to buy some inferior products that say BDD on them. Then hit us
I was
up
about
with
to say, I
DMs.
think you guys would name your names to like anything.
Yeah, there you go.
Literally got a commercial about it.
I can't wait
Best
till we're
darn
big enough
diddly
to sell
nuclear
out.
waste box. Let me tell you, this is high quality nuclear waste, guys. You're not going to get better nuclear waste than this from anywhere.
We
And
should
if you use
create
our
some kind of little
discount
barrel
code,
toy like that.
All out 240.
I love it. Well, in usual Simpsons fashion, we're about to find out that basically the whole first act of this episode was really just to set up the real meat of this episode, because as Lisa is visiting her brother Bart in the hospital, she decides to take a walk when she hears some saxophone music playing. She spies into one of the rooms and discovers her old friend from season 1, Bleeding Gums Murphy. Little Lisa, it's good to see you again.
It's been a long time.
And we get a flashback all the way back to season 1's Moaning Lisa, where Bleeding Gums Murphy was introduced playing jazz on the bridge. We see Lisa and him meet. We hear about how he's never been to the dentist, hence the reason he is named Bleeding Gums. He claims that he has had way too much pain in his life as it is to visit a dentist. I really like that.
To visit a dentin.
Also, a course of pain, particularly if you're coming from, the Dallas side. Traffic.
Traffic can be quite painful, for sure.
That bridge.
When Bleeding Gums asks Lisa what she's in for, she explains that she's just visiting her brother who had his appendix out. And then, of course, Bart makes an appearance right there showing his very best side. Hello, I'm Dr. Cheeks. I'm doing my rounds, and I'm a little behind. And, of course, he's doing the thing where he decorated his ass to look like a face, and he's talking out of his butt. It's great.
Bart is the best ass decorator, hands
really
down,
is.
in the universe.
Yes, and he has such good penmanship on his own butt. You're absolutely right. He wrote
It's
clearly,
remarkable, quite frankly.
don't tread on this, and he made a very he drew on his butt better than I could just draw that face. Period.
Absolutely, right? Yeah.
And what a way to end our first act, talking out our asses.
Did
We're
you
gonna
say
go ahead and
end? Oh.
We're going to go ahead and take a real quick break here from some buddies of ours, and we'll be right back for Act 2 of Round Springfield. Hi, I'm MrMostDaysOff. You might remember me from such podcasts as the 50th Podcast Celebration Show and the Michael Price interview. I've brought a friend along today to talk to you about an exciting new product.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Richie the WizKid.
Miles, did you know that most people have no idea how to get a Best Darn Diddly t-shirt?
You can get a t-shirt with a podcast logo on it?
Well, if you go to tpublic.com/bestdarndiddly, you'll find not only shirts, but also Best Darn Diddly hoodies, posters, mugs, and even phone and laptop cases. It's like they'll put their name on anything.
Help support the Best Darn Diddly Review Show by purchasing any of the crap we put our name on at tpublic.com/bestdarndiddly.
Bye, everybody.
Testing. Can anyone hear me? My name is Toby, and I'm the host of the Secret Transmission Podcast. We are a show that discusses the paranormal, conspiracies, the supernatural, UFOs, cryptozoology, and anything else weird. Our show is transmitted to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter for updates at SecretTransPod. So get ready to put on your tinfoil hats and come learn with us as we try to explain the unexplainable.
We come into our second act with Lisa and Bleeding Gums Murphy catching up with each other, and Lisa's asking a little bit about Bleeding Gums' family, to which he explains he doesn't really have much of one. I mean, he did have a little brother who grew up to become a doctor, and he used to laugh at the most inappropriate times. And then, of course, just then, Hibbert walks in.
Hey, I've got an older brother that I've never seen. He's a jazz musician or such. Oh well, bye-bye.
Lisa thinks it must be awful to be all alone in the world, but Bleeding Gums tries to explain that he always had music. He learned at the feet of Blind Willie Witherspoon, and we get another flashback, this time to one we haven't actually seen before. Willie is an older man who's carrying around a saxophone case and explaining to a young Bleeding Gums that he's been playing jazz for 30 years and just can't make a go of it. He wants Bleeding Gums to have his saxophone.
This isn't a saxophone. It's an umbrella.
So I've been playing an umbrella for 30 years? Why didn't anybody tell me?
We all thought it was funny.
Well, that's not funny. I love this cutaway, personally. I think it's great. I still want to know where Bleeding Gums actually gets the saxophone, though.
Yeah.
We ping-pong just for a moment back to the present and then get sent right back to the past to the time that Bleeding Gums got his big break on Steve Allen's Tonight Show. Steve Allen is doing some improv poetry as Bleeding Gums plays his sax. Twinkle, twinkle, groovy cat, how I wonder where you at. I really love the way you cook, just like me when I wrote this book. And we see Steve Allen starts holding up his own publications, which, Andy, if you ever get the chance to do this, you totally should.
I'm doing it right now, just in case. There's not even a camera.
How to Make Love to Steve Allen from the author of Happiness is a Naked Steve Allen, Journey to the Center of Steve Allen, and The Joy of Cooking Steve Allen.
The best. Wait, what about The Joys of Cooking Millhouse?
Maybe that's where the inspiration came.
Oh.
How to cook humans.
Cook for humans?
For 40 humans.
Cook for 40 humans?
There's still more dust on the book.
So we learned that Bleeding Gums actually cut one album only. It was called Sax on the Beach. But unfortunately...
I think this whole episode is worth it for that pun, by the way. I think the whole thing was built around that one joke, and I'm so fine with that.
Let's stretch it into 22 minutes.
We'll throw in an extra long couch gag if we need to. We also learned, though, that Bleeding Gums lost everything he had through a terrible, terrible addiction, a $1,500 a day habit. And we get another flashback with a young Bleeding Gums Murphy at a Fabergé egg store demanding to have another.
Sir, don't you think you've had enough?
I'll tell you when I've had enough! We get another fact from the commentary here that this was actually somewhat of a mistake when you look up the actual price of how much Fabergé eggs cost, because really, Fabergé eggs don't even start until about the $3,000 range, and they go up to the $15,000 range. So unless he was only having half an egg a day, he probably would have actually been spending more than that.
Yeah, I figured it out. Like at $19.95 prices, that's like 0.4 Fabergé eggs per day.
Yeah.
Which, is a lot monetarily, but doesn't really seem like a crazy egg habit. I don't know.
Maybe he's only buying like one every other day or something.
What I want to know is how the fuck you get high off antiques. Because I inherited some, and I'm just curious. Just for research purposes,
Maybe that's why people get so excited about going antiquing. Like, I'll never understand that craze, but if it's like, oh, that's like code for getting really high, I'm down.
Interesting to note.
Oh, so, you know what holds up really well? Cosby flashbacks. And we get another bit of Bleeding Gums Murphy's history, I guess we'll say, when we hear about his very last appearance on television in '86 when he did a guest spot on The Cosby Show. Hey kids, meet Grandpa Murphy.
We have 3 grandpas already.
This one's a great jazz musician.
Oh, they all are.
Oh, you see, the kids, they listen to the rap music, which gives them the brain damage with their hippin' and their hoppin' and their bippin' and their boppin', so they don't know what the jazz is all about. You see, jazz is like the Jell-O puddin' pop. No, actually, it's more like Kodak film. No, actually, jazz is the new Coke. It'll be around forever. Just like Bill Cosby's wholesome, lovable career.
What a fucking creep. I do want to note, though, that this is where everyone's Cosby impersonation comes from. Like, anyone who does a Cosby, and I'm not even going to try. I approve of your, I'm not even going to attempt the actual accent. But, like, everyone's Cosby impersonation is this Cosby impersonation.
Absolutely. Gotta put the ring in the Jell-O.
With the beeps and the bloops and the... Yeah.
Bippin', boppin', puddin' poppin', like all those things are definitely staple Cosbys.
Jell-O! Yeah. I said I wasn't going to do it, and then it happens.
And it happened.
Cosby said the same thing, man.
But
I don't think he did say that, for the record. But anyway.
But Lisa is actually impressed by all of this knowledge she's learning about one of her idols or heroes, and she tells him, wow, you've had some career, although the moral seems to be that a lifetime of jazz leaves you sad and lonely.
Well, Before you came to visit, I would have agreed with you.
And this is one of those moments on The Simpsons that just like, God damn it, that's sweet. Like, just really, really nice, tender moment between two characters where you kind of see that this man has had a pretty sad life, but this little girl's visit is just bringing him just that little ray of sunshine that's kind of nice to think that he's getting before he passes away. I mean, that's comforting in some weird way.
Well, they had that connection from previously, too, where he knows that she appreciates jazz the way that he does, and that's kind of like a found his own soul in a little girl, sort of, so to speak, or I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Just continue.
Just staying right along with this whole Cosby theme, or in this case, the how well The Simpsons stays relevant even 13, 20, I don't even know, a long ass time later, however far off we are now.
22 years?
Yeah.
23 years?
Well, 23, because 95 to 18, but either way, we have Kent Brockman. This just in, Krusty the Clown staged a press conference today to defend himself against charges that his products are unsafe, his theme park is a death trap, and that he's marketing videos of Tanya Harding's wedding nights.
And I contend that those tourists were decapitated before they entered the Krusty Land House of Knives. Next question.
What about that little boy who got appendicitis from eating your cereal?
To prove that this metal O is harmless, I will personally eat one. Ow. See? There's nothing. Oh boy, this thing is shredding my insides.
Krusty, that wasn't the metal one. That was just a regular Krusty O.
It's poison!
I really want to go to the Krusty Land House of Knives. Just saying. I mean, like, I would go to that theme park and enjoy the shit out of myself.
Until you're decapitated.
I mean...
You'll be at an all-time high.
I was decapitated.
He signed a waiver.
When I got there. That's the whole point, right? Like, you come decapitated. It's fine.
We see back at the hospital that Bleeding Gums is getting another visit from Lisa, and Lisa is so proud to show her hero that she stopped brushing her teeth so she can play just like Bleeding Gums.
Aw, Lisa, honey. Music comes from what's inside your heart, not what's on your teeth. Come on, let's jam.
And we get a jazzy little tune starting to play from the inside of this hospital room.
Lift me, won't you lift me above the old routine? Make it nice and play it clean, jazz man. When the jazz man's testifying, a faithless man believes he can sing you into paradise or bring you to your knees. Jazz man, oh jazz man.
So that song was actually a lot of fun to sing, and Lisa does a much better job than I'm sure we did there. But regardless, we get kind of a nice little scene around Springfield as it's playing, where we actually get people listening and dancing, and Barney actually makes it through a detox clinic. He gets cleaned up. No more alcohol for him while listening to this beautiful jazz music. And then as soon as he leaves the detox center, he walks next door to the retox center, where I guess Mo must have a part-time gig.
I like to think that actually the hospital is like Mo's is set into the hospital.
Okay. So it's, yeah, he can just go around the other side and then he's up.
Exactly. There you go. That's just through the door, maybe.
After Barney had so many alcohol poisoning scares, he decided to move the bar to an adjacent building with the hospital.
Just makes it easier.
Yeah.
Possibly. Seems reasonable.
I love that he is actually trying to redeem his AA chip for a beer. Or did he just basically ask Mo, what will you give me for this AA chip?
It's a 5-minute chip. Can we talk about this for just a second?
Well, first let's note that it is worth a Pabst. Which it always blows my mind when other beer exists in the Simpsons universe. Like, not too many times ago or episodes ago, we had the Zima line from Lenny and Carl, and now it's Pabst. And it's like, whoa. So, like, Duff is right alongside these other beers in this fictional world. But yes, 5 minutes A 5-minute sobriety chip. He, that's a new record for Barney.
Everything about that exchange is perfect. The existence of a 5-minute chip, trying to trade your chip for a drink, and then getting a Pabst. Like, each part of that is perfect.
So that's actually based on a real-life urban legend that's actually fairly hard to verify one way or the other, but the legend goes that AA chips actually could be redeemed at bars for free alcohol, the idea being that the bartender would be happy to ruin someone's sobriety if it meant earning another customer. Now, it's almost impossible to verify that that's never happened in the history of ever, but at the same time, there's a lot of bartenders who have been interviewed and been asked about this urban legend, and they all say the same thing. No bar ever is short on drunk people who want to drink, so they would never consider ruining somebody who is trying to get sober just for the idea of, like, getting a customer. They probably don't need the customer.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you don't want to actually live in a world that sad. Like, it's funny because
rough.
It's The Simpsons, right? But, like, as soon as someone's like, oh, good, I'm going to trade this meaningless symbol of my sobriety for the end of my life. That'll be great. Thanks.
Yeah, it is a very sad concept. But like I said, it's mostly debunked. It seems that it's a pretty far-fetched idea, though. It is impossible to entirely say.
You know, some asshole's done it. It's just a reasonable
It's probably
truth.
happened, yeah.
We live in America. It's just facts.
This is America, yep. Getting back to Lisa and Bleeding Gums Murphy, Lisa actually has a recital coming up, and she's excited telling him about it. And this is a cool gesture. Can you imagine your idol, somebody that you admire, giving you their instrument, their tool of the trade to let you use? And that's exactly what happens, because Bleeding Gums Murphy gives Lisa his saxophone.
His actual saxophone, not an umbrella.
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. This is a real-life saxophone.
Yeah, but this scene becomes, like, so much more impactful after the next time Lisa comes to see him, because it's like you had to know that he knew that it was about time.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. This is a more meaningful gesture than Lisa realizes at this time, I think.
Yeah.
We cut to the school recital, which is actually sold out, but don't worry, tomorrow night's Barbra Streisand concert has plenty of tickets still available.
Ouch, Babs.
Which, how far in advance are they selling tickets to this recital if like, with the joke coming up with Skinner for 3 students? Like, well, why are all the parents there?
Even if they bought tickets, why would they not be at the hospital with their children who are all apparently having their appendixes removed? So without further ado, I give you the remnants of the Springfield Elementary School Orchestra on saxophone, Lisa Simpson, on triangle, Martin Prince, and with a flute up his nose, Ralph Wiggum.
Who then goes...
That's some nice fluting, boy.
That is some really nice up-the-nose fluting. Can we talk about, like, if you could produce even one reasonable note from any instrument you had jammed into any orifice of your body? I am seriously impressed. And he has an actual musical range. Like, I'm just saying, Ralph is a flute up-the-nose savant. It's a fact.
You can't argue. It's hard to. Skinner goes on to say the whatever is left of this band will be playing Stars and Stripes Forever, hopefully not forever. This is brutal, guys. They start playing, it's awful, but this is supposed to be like their family and friends, and even Lisa's own grandfather declares, it sucks!
That's the magical word you need when you're wanting to play jazz.
That's right.
Lisa is feeling the music, and she knows that right. It does suck. So she's going to jazz it up herself and basically does what she's done in every opening credit sequence from every episode we've ever watched that has the full credits. She just takes it into her own hands and she starts playing a nice, fun jazz riff, takes center stage and really just owns the whole situation.
She gets it.
And everything goes great. She gets a huge applause, and she's just so excited, and the only person she really wants to share this moment with is Bleeding Gums Murphy. So she rushes to the hospital, runs into his room, yelling, "Hey, Bleeding Gums! I was great, and I owe it all to..." Only discover a nurse is changing out the sheets in his bed. What happened to Mr. Murphy?
I'm sorry. He passed away.
Ooh, big blow. And We get a little bit here where Lisa, we see her crying on the bridge, and then it transitions into her weeping into her pillow at home. And
This is the bridge where she met him that she was crying at, right?
it was the bridge where she met him. And they actually pointed out on the commentary here as well that they really felt like this should have probably been the act break in hindsight, but it was not. They did keep going. I will note, however, this is actually the first character to truly be killed off in the Simpsons universe. Now, Mike Reese had been petitioning for years, actually, to kill off Marge's mother in an episode, but he was even interviewed and said that this was a better choice and this was a better idea overall. But this was the first character that was actually dead. Like, we've had instances where Mole Man should have been dead, or even Homer, but they always come back for more, sort of thing. This was a true first for the Simpsons world.
And lead into that trivia question on the 138th episode where Troy McClure asks, which two popular Simpsons characters have died? Where it's the silhouette of Bleeding Gums and Marvin Monroe, and then when you come back from the commercial, he goes, if you said Bleeding Gums and Marvin Monroe, you're wrong.
They were
Neither
never
one
popular.
of them were popular. Yeah. Oh, so
When
brutal.
did Marvin Monroe die?
I don't remember him actually dying, but they just
Okay.
that was the bit at the act break in that.
Oh,
episode.
I remember the bit, and I was always like, "Wait a minute, that dude's dead."
Yeah. They just stopped showing him in the episodes, I guess.
Well, Lisa is absolutely distraught in this one. She's not doing well. She doesn't really understand why her friend had to be taken away, and unfortunately for her, she's got Homer there to try to comfort her. Well, it's like the time that your cat Snowball got run over.
Uh-huh.
Remember, honey?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, all we have to do is go down to the pound and get you a new jazz man.
Oh, Dad!
At least
Damn it,
Homer
Homer.
realizes that he blew it again. But Maggie's so sweet, gives Homer the pacifier to try to calm him down.
What? When he starts sucking on it. The Force. Or wizardry.
We get another attempt at a Simpsons to comfort Lisa. When she's crying alone in the treehouse, Bart goes up to talk to her, and he kind of talks to her about what he thinks happens when you die. What he likes to think is you come back as whatever you want. He's going to be a butterfly.
How come?
Because nobody ever suspects the butterfly. Ha 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 ha. We see a fantasy sequence where the school is being burned to the ground. Skinner's being arrested, declaring that he didn't do it. It was the butterfly. I tell you, it was the butterfly.
He's crazy, boys. Get the taser.
Again, they point out on the commentary that this was a very early taser joke, as tasers were not that popular in 95 as they are today.
This was years before "Don't Tase Me, Bro."
Yeah, oh,
And
absolutely.
you just had to get tased. There
They
was no
just
"Don't
had
Tase
to.
Me, Bro." You had no recourse.
But Lisa realizes that while her brother's trying, it's not what she needs, so she decides she's going to try somebody with a little more age and wisdom.
Death stalks you at every turn.
Grandpa?
Well, it does. Ah! Death! There it is! Death!
That's only Maggie.
Oh, yeah. You know, at my age, the mind starts playing tricks. So, death!
That's only the cat.
Oh. Death!
That's Maggie again, Grandpa.
Oh, where were we? Death!
This is a really funny sequence, and they actually had a fun note from David Silverman on this one that made it even funnier late in production. Originally, every time Grandpa would point and scream death, they would do a really quick pan out with the animation frames, giving it a little bit more excitement. But David Silverman pointed out that it would actually be funnier if you treated it really slow and mundane, because there's not actually anything there to be startling Grandpa, and that made the joke work even better.
Dude, I love this because in my notes I just written "death" and 3 exclamation points, and I was like, now what is that supposed to refer to? Like, oh yeah, thank you, Grandpa.
Marge is actually the most useful of the family members, explaining to Lisa that it is normal to be sad when a friend dies, and Bleeding Gums was a good friend, but nobody's really gone as long as we remember them.
Lisa, honey, if you really want to preserve his memory, I recommend getting a tattoo. It preserves the things you love. Starland Vocal Band, they suck!
That's Homer, who realizes that he doesn't so much love the Starland Vocal Band any longer, and is recommending to his 8-year-old that she get a tattoo. Love that. We get one more little instance of Abe in the backyard through the window, pointing at a bird bath. It's so good.
In case anyone else was wondering, Starland Vocal Band was most well known for their hit Afternoon Delight.
Afternoon Delight.
The best song about having sex in the afternoon that I know of.
Also, one of the best jokes in Arrested Development.
Yeah.
It's both the aunt and nephew and niece and uncle seeing it. It's fun. Yeah. Shout out
That
to
is a good gag.
Arrested fans. Good stuff. Anyway, this is a Simpsons show, Miles. A Simpsons show. We cut to Bleeding Gum's burial, his funeral service, where it's just Lisa and Reverend Lovejoy. Lisa's upset because nobody's showing up.
Well, Lisa, we've waited an hour. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to bid farewell to Blood and Guts Murphy.
No, it was Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Yeesh. Anyway, Bloody Gums Murphy was quite the sousaphone player.
Saxophone. He was a jazz musician. You didn't know him. Nobody knew him, but he was a great man. And I won't rest until all of Springfield knows the name Bleeding Gums Murphy.
And I won't rest until I've gotten a hot dog.
Homer, this is a cemetery.
Get your hot dogs here!
Woohoo!
What do you do? Follow my husband around?
Lady, he's putting my kids through college!
And that brings us to the end of our second act. We're going to take another real quick break, and we'll be right back for the conclusion of Round Springfield.
And now it's time for our favorite part of the show. What's that say? Ads and sponsorship. Ugh, this is gonna be a real nightmare. Okay, what do you got for me? Patreon.com? What the hell is that? And they just give us money for it? Oh, if only we had that around in the 70s. Make sure you ask your mommies and daddies to send money to Best Darn Diddly at patreon.com so they can drive a dump truck full of money up to our houses. Uh-oh. I said the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud.
We kick off our final act with Lionel Hutz knocking on Bart's door with his super team of lawyers and some good news. Bart's won $100,000, minus legal fees, of course.
What kind of legal fees?
Well, for a case this complex, I had to assemble a crack team of lawyers. Ronald Shapiro, trial attorney, Albert Dershman, who can hold 3 billiard balls in his mouth.
How much of the 100,000 do I get?
$500.
$500?
Yes, well,
Cool.
let's roll. And we actually see the team of lawyers jump into a white Bronco. And if it wasn't glaringly obvious already, this whole lawyer team was a parody of the O.J. Simpson trial, and the white Bronco is, of course, the famous vehicle that they made the getaway chase in. So, just a little fun right there, and it all ends well because Bart is super ecstatic that of his $100,000 settlement, he gets $500. I mean, just think of what he can do with that money.
Well, is this Lionel Hutz's first win?
Oh, good point.
I think he wins this time, and therefore we never need to see the character again, and that's why we never see the character again, because, you know, nothing sad or bad ever happened. He just won all this money and left Springfield.
Is this before or after the all-you-can-eat thing with the seafood restaurant?
This is after that.
Yeah. So he won that case, too.
Yeah, that's good.
Although all he won was seafood.
That's a good point. Yeah. We do get another fun fantasy sequence here. There's a lot of cutaway sequences in this episode, I've noticed.
Really are.
This one is of Bart now with his newfound fortune in Vegas, I presume, a casino of some sort, surrounded by women, and he's playing roulette. He's bet it all on red.
The winner is black.
He loses everything, and all he says is, cool.
Cool. Real life at the casino, right there, by the way.
Hey, you gotta do it because you
like
love
that,
it.
You should go to the casino.
Yeah, for real.
Sure.
Cool.
Lisa's still grounded very much in the real world, and she's wanting to honor her friend's memory, so she's just kind of stuck. She's asking her mom for advice, and Marge sends her to the local jazz station to see if they'll do a tribute.
Jazz? Pfft. They just make it up as they go along. I could do that.
That's Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Okay then, this. That's
the same thing. You just replaced the D's with do's.
Do.
I so wanted him to do a do 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 do.
I wonder if they tried that and it just didn't work.
It just wasn't funny. Yeah,
just
it
doing
does
the
sound
one
really
is
weird.
clever. It's clever one.
So Lisa heads off to talk to the DJ at K-Jazz. There was a little bit of a rumor, I guess, or a controversy, you might say. I don't know, that's too strong a word. Basically, on the commentary, somebody said that they had heard that this DJ was based on David Merkin, both in appearance and attitude, because he was just known for being really, really laid back and chill, and this just kind of fit his personality. Many of the people in the commentary had not heard that, but they also said that doesn't mean it's not true.
I mean, that's a good character to be modeled after.
Yeah, it's pretty
Or
dope. Yeah.
Have your character modeled after.
Lisa requests that they play a tribute to Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Oh, I'd love to, little sister, but we don't have his album.
Well, what if I could find it?
Well, I'd spin it for you, but ain't no one going to hear it. Our broadcast range is only 23 feet, which makes us the most powerful jazz station in the entire U.S. of A. There's that A again.
That's funny. The most powerful goes 23. That's great. I mean, honestly, it's probably not too far off from the truth. Jazz is really dope, but not that popular.
Tell me about it. Just look at our morning guy.
Hello? This is Mole Man in the morning. Good Mole Man to you. Today, part 4 of our series of the agonizing pain in which I live every day.
What I want to know is, how did Lisa find out where his album's actually at?
Well, the only place you go for obscure things to buy in Springfield, the Android's Dungeon, of course, where we see Comic Book Guy has a copy for only $250.
That's pretty expensive. That means it's an important part of the jazz culture.
I think this is a rare album, right? I mean, I don't know. How much do albums usually cost? I don't buy records.
I don't think they cost $250.
They do not. I can report that, there's literally no way this record would cost more than $8. But we need a plot point to happen here, guys.
Yes.
Maybe it cost $8 before they found out he was sick, and then it bumped to $250. But when they found out that he's passed away, and this was supposed to be for a tribute to honor him, it bumps up to $500.
I looked at the dip that Comic Book Guy was eating, and at first I thought it said hummus, but it looked like it actually said hummus, like H-O-M.
Oh, I thought it said hummus, and I was going to point out, I think he dips Twinkies in hummus.
I thought it literally said hummus, like there was an O, and I didn't know if that was a play on Homer, or I wasn't sure.
I was pretty sure it just said hummus. I'm not...
Whatever it is, he's definitely dipping Twinkies into it, and that's what we need to be talking about. So, first off, has he unlocked a whole new world of Twinkie appreciation that we all need to get on his level regarding?
Well, I personally both love hummus and Twinkies, but not together.
Have you tried this?
I mean,
Ever.
I've tried both, and I don't feel like they're going to pair well.
I mean, I'm just saying, I tried Frosties and I tried French fries, but I hadn't tried anything until I tried French fries and Frosties.
And that's a really unique pairing, because that just does not work with other ice creams. You go to Dairy Queen and you get yourself a Blizzard and you try to dip a French fry in it, it's not going to taste good.
Bullshit.
It's going to taste like potatoes and ice cream.
Chemically after tang that is so good to me.
No, it's if you have not done French fries and Frosties, you have not lived your life correctly up until this point.
Or maybe you have. Anyways.
You could be more correctly.
Yeah, totally. So Lisa has no idea where she's going to get this money, but almost if by miracle, when she walks out of the shop, there's literally a bundle of cash lying on the sidewalk. And as she starts to chase after it, you see it's attached to a string that keeps getting pulled further and further away from her. But what's really hilarious is it's actually Mr. Burns who's doing this. He even jumps in the car and has Smithers drive away as poor Lisa struggles to catch that bundle of cash.
You knew the right store to go outside of.
It's just funny to me that Mr. Burns would get this much glee out of such a simple prank. But if you think about it, it fits the character perfectly.
Can we talk about how Lisa is totally half-assing it to catch that money, though? I'm serious. She didn't make one scrambling dive, and, if I saw 25 G's being scuttled away from me, I would, fucking go for it. Seriously, how much do you want this tribute to happen? You, didn't even run.
Yeah, suddenly I'm like a marathon runner and I just don't get tired. It's like I see that goal. I'm going to go.
For a block. And then you're oh, no, me.
Oh, still
sorry.
fat. Yep.
You win.
Sorry.
But,
science. My bad.
Good effort / heart attack.
So Lisa's struggling, and as Andy pointed out, she looks like she could give a little bit of extra effort. But meanwhile, we see Bart has this money burning a hole in his pocket, and he walks into the android's dungeon announcing, "I've got $500. What do you have for me?" Not really a good way to start a negotiation, by the way.
Behold, the ultimate pog!
And we see it's the Steve Allen album.
Pog
take
was
it.
So dope.
Yeah, I love Pogs when I was a kid. I never spent anywhere close to that amount of money on an individual Pog, but I will admit I spent probably $20 on a Slammer once.
We may or may not have already had this conversation on your podcast.
I had the strangest feeling of deja vu.
Pogs.
I definitely had a fucking binder full of Pogs with the plastic sheets to put your individual Pogs in.
Oh, see, I did the tubes. I always did the tubes.
Yeah, I still have my tubes.
I wish I had my tubes, man. I miss them so much. And Bart is about to throw down $500 on this Steve Allen Pog, but just then he sees his sister walks by. And he decides that he's going to do a very non-selfish thing. And he buys that album, Sax on the Beach, gives it to Lisa. And it's all because, going full circle back to the top of the episode, when he ate that Metal O, she was the only one who actually believed that he was sick.
Oh, thank you. But $500? You'll never see that much money again.
Oh, yeah? Take a look at this. And he holds up a box of Krusty O's, flesh-eating bacteria in every box. Love that they advertise that. That's wonderful. We have Lisa ecstatically returning to K-Jazz with the album, and DJ Merkin puts it on for her and even gives her a little radio that she can listen to it on, but basically just outside of the doors of the radio station, and she already starts to lose range. And as you might expect, she's starting to get a little sad. It seems like the weather starts to mirror Lisa's feelings because a cloud forms above the radio station, but just then lightning actually strikes the tower, and because science works exactly like this, that boosts the radio signal all throughout the town.
For 20 minutes.
Yeah, it just keeps going, and you can just see the tower holding that charge.
It's
too.
that long-term lightning that happens, where lightning just goes for a long time. You've seen that.
Oh, all the time. Yeah, it's very common in Texas.
It's fun.
Yeah. But no, the song goes out, and Lisa's proud. She says, "I did the best I could, Bleeding Gums," and we see people are really enjoying this music. We see Homer at home alone. We see Abe, and this is actually recycled footage from the episode. And this is actually recycled footage from the episode Homer's Barbershop Quartet, but fits perfectly. And I would have never noticed if it wasn't pointed out to me.
Change the channel.
And we also see Police Chief Wiggum in his patrol car, getting what seems like it might be an important message. Attention all units, attention all units. Poison gas cloud heading for. And we see that Wiggum is now enjoying the music instead of this important announcement all the way up until that poison cloud renders him unconscious.
Yeah, no big deal. It's fine. Nerve gas, as it turns out, is a toy.
It sure is. That's right.
Or it screws with Lisa's head so that she sees figures in the clouds.
Well, Lisa's still talking to Bleeding Gum. She tells him that was for him, and just then those clouds begin to form above Lisa once again. And this time, Bleeding Gum's Murphy's figure takes form in the clouds.
You made an old jazz man happy, Lisa.
But that's not the only figure that joins Bleeding Gum's Murphy, because we also see Mufasa appear.
You must avenge my death, Kimba. I mean, Simba.
So this is a rip on the fact that a lot of people believe that the Lion King is actually stolen property, or it was ripped off from a Japanese, I believe it was an anime called Kimba the White Lion. I looked a little bit into this, and there are some interesting bits of information. First of all, there are a lot of similarities. A lot of the main story is very, very similar, though you could also argue that they're both very similar to Hamlet. However, there are even some animation sequences that are almost shot-for-shot matches from the movies. Now, the other thing that I found interesting is there are some interviews with people, some of the higher-ups at Disney, who flat out deny that they had any knowledge whatsoever of Kimba the White Lion during the production of The Lion King. However, some of those same people are interviewed at other times, and their story changes from "we had no knowledge whatsoever" to "we knew of it," or "some of the people on our staff may have known of it, but we were not influenced by it." Very suspicious, Disney. That's all I'm going to say.
What I think is interesting is, like, I this part was on my Songs in the Key of Springfield CD, and I always have heard the James Earl Jones rip-off voice on here, and I always thought Kimbo was just some random thing to make a joke. But of course, it's The Simpsons, so everything has meaning. That's a great story.
Yeah. We get another Disney property appear as Darth Vader appears in the clouds.
Wasn't Disney then?
No, it wasn't.
Nope.
It was not Disney then, but it is now.
Luke, I am your father.
And then, of course, just to put a nice little bow on this whole joke, because these are all characters that are, the other characters are appearing are all people, the James Earl Jones voice. So we get James Earl Jones appearing on the clouds himself.
This is CNN.
Well, you guys pipe down. I'm trying to say goodbye to Lisa.
We're sorry. Poof.
So this was not James Earl Jones actually voicing the characters. It was Harry Shearer doing that. But if you recall, James Earl Jones has been on the show in the past. He was in each of the original 3 segments in the first Treehouse of Horror.
Quoth the Raven.
Exactly. Lisa is talking to the clouds at this point, talking to her friend, really. I don't want you to go.
Sorry, but I have to. Goodbye.
And Lisa starts crying. Goodbye.
Oh, what the heck. Once more from the top.
Yay! And we get that jaunty, jazzy tune, Jazzman, starting up again.
When the jazz man's testifying, a faithless man believes he can sing you into paradise or bring you to your knees.
And that actually brings us to the end of the 3rd act. We get a saxophone rendition of the end credit sequence this time, play over the credits, and Lisa continues to sing alongside Bleeding Gums Murphy's saxophone.
Jazz man, take my blues away. Make my pain the same as yours with every change you play. Jazz man, oh jazz man.
And we get Lisa crying out one more time as we come to the famous shh on the Gracie Films logo.
Oh, come on, Lisa. I got a date with Billie Holiday.
And that brings us to the end of Round Springfield. Andy, do you have anything else that you'd like to talk about before we end this episode?
Well, you know, as so often is the case, The Simpsons uses a really jokey manner to bring up some really serious philosophical points. We get varying views on death. We explore reincarnation, fatalism, religion, eternal life, jokeable nihilism, and in the end, we somehow arrive at this idea that we all live on through the memory of those we touch in our lives. And, you know, it's surprisingly touching and, you know, thoughtful, and also, like, I want us all to just imagine Grandpa Simpson screaming, "Death!"
Death!
at a regular, more basis. Let's all have more of that in our life.
It's got the art, smart, and heart, as they say. But yeah, couldn't agree more. Richie, what about you or that book of yours?
You know, on a personal note, I always remembered this episode as being one of my father's absolute favorite Simpsons episodes, all because he loved the Jazzman song. And it's one of those where, like, watching it now again, I didn't remember all the good one-liners in it, but it's a very sweet episode. Sweet and somber, I guess, is the correct correct wording for that. But it's a lot more impactful the older that you are. So I very much enjoyed revisiting that with new eyes, because it's been a while since I've seen this episode, I feel like, and the song's too damn catchy. But my guidebook, The Simpsons, A Complete Guide to Our Favorite Family, wanted to point out that this isn't the first time The Simpsons have talked about Krusty's Percodan addiction. Apparently, it was brought up in the Mr. Plow episode, and it's just the addiction's another similarity between Krusty and Jerry Lewis, apparently. So there's that little tidbit for you, but that's all I got. Miles, back to you.
Fun facts. Well, I've got quite a bit of interesting information here that I've been just chomping at the bit to get out from the director's commentary. I'll start by mentioning the director's commentary for this episode featured Al Jean, Mike Reese, Joshua Sternin, Jeffrey Vertimiglia, and Steve Moore. And that's because this was one of 2 episodes in season 6 that was contracted out to Mike Reese and Al Jean, who utilized the crew on The Critic. Along with this episode, that was also, of course, A Star is Burns, which we already talked about this season with Mike Reese. So this was one of those contracted out episodes, all stemming from the fact that Fox wanted 25 episodes this season, which was a big jump up in production. So to get around the stress of the overwork, they were able to send these 2 episodes out. And then, of course, they also did the flashback episode we already talked about. Couple more things about that. So Mike Reese and Al Jean also, along with having the showrunner credit on this, they actually took writing credits, which is something that's very rare when you're working in a TV show. Usually you wouldn't do that, but they were so convinced with the plot of this episode, the weight it has, the fact that they were killing off a character, all the jazz and the heart. They for sure thought this was going to be an award-winning episode, so they wanted to be attached to it essentially as a writing credit. And of course, unfortunately for them, it never really panned out that way. It's still a beloved episode, but it really didn't make too much of a splash anywhere in terms of awards or anything of that nature. Also, a couple of those names from the commentary you probably did not recognize. That would have been Joshua Sternin and Jeffrey Vertimiglia. That's because they were writers for The Critic who were both big-time fans of The Simpsons and were absolutely ecstatic that they got to make words come out of one of their favorite characters' mouths. They said that the first time they wrote a doe for Homer was just this incredible, almost religious experience from the way they described it. And one last really fun tie-in. This was Steve Moore's first episode ever to direct, but his first episode that he ever worked on was Moaning Lisa. So this was a really fun tie-in connection. Of course, those are the only 2 episodes to heavily feature Bleeding Gums Murphy, and the fact that he had a first-time experience with both of those episodes is just a fun tie-in. And that's all I've got for this episode of the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. Andy, Dr. Andrew Briseño, back again, keeping the streak alive. Thank you so much for joining us, man. It's always so much fun talking to you. You bring a lot of really unique insight to the show, and it's just been an absolute pleasure every time we've had you on. I'm so glad that it's now 6 times and counting. We're going to keep the streak going strong for season 7 very, very soon. But thank you again so much for coming on the show.
Dude, it's absolutely my pleasure. I love getting to do this with you guys.
Yeah, always a good time, man. Go ahead one more time and plug all your cool stuff. Talk about your book. Tell everyone where they can find you online and all that good stuff.
So, my book, once again, is Down and Out. Available right now from Goldwake Press. You can find it at goldwake.com or, Amazon or wherever you look for books. It should be available there. You can find me online on Twitter at jandrewbriseño, Briseno, and you can also go to jandrewbriseño.com, all one word and no funny squiggly N, and I'm there too. In any case, yeah. And if you listen to this and you would like a copy of my book and you find me on Twitter, I will be sure to write a special Simpsons-themed message in your copy, which will make it more valuable on the resale market. I guarantee it.
Wait, does that mean if you send that to me and I pay $20 that I can sell it back to you for $20.25?
I think that you could sell it on Amazon for $21. That's
okay.
Absolutely the truth. Let's go with that. That sounds fair. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get rich, just buy all of his copies and start flipping them online.
That's what I'm suggesting. Please.
The slow burn pays off.
You won't really see profits unless you buy at least 500. So,
and he's going to have to get a few more made, I think, in that time.
We'll worry about that.
We'll solve that problem when we have it.
Whatever that would be, $10,000, and I'll worry about it later, okay?
Hell yeah, dude. Well, we'd be happy to help with that.
But yeah, Andy, thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad the streak is alive with you. This is going to be by the end of this podcast, this is going to be something of epic proportions. So I'm glad we get to have you on each and every season. I can't wait to hear why and what episode you're going to be picking next season.
Should be great.
It'll be a good time. Make sure you follow our show online everywhere at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY. Also, make sure you follow Richie on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at theWizKid23.
And follow Miles at MrMostDaysOff. That works on all social media.
Richie and I look forward to being back with you again next week as we're going to be discussing the Springfield connection. As always, we just want to thank you for tuning in this week and hitting that download button. It means so much to us when you come along for the ride on this journey through The Simpsons, the Golden Age, and beyond.
So make sure you come back. We got hot dogs here.
Until next time, be cromulent to each other.
Rising from the depths of a state called Michigan, two inebriated dorks prepare their plan for intergalactic domination. Mixing their extensive knowledge of geek culture with their insatiable thirst for alcohol, these two man-children bring you a show like you've never heard before. They will tell you tales from faraway lands and have you questioning their taste in beer. But make no mistake, friend, for the best coverage of your favorite comics, films, and TV shows, there's no better source for you to get your fix. So listen up, strap in, and prepare yourself as Jake and Tom conquer the world.